So, well, just looking at it, not a whole bunch has changed here for the Danger Room. Been working on some stuff in the behind the scenes though, like the Xavier head that I showed off in the last section. I actually got it built, and I gave it some power effects with some of those clear round plates to kind of give his psychic power ability going there. Moving right below that, I also changed where the Sentinel Blast is happening, made it a little bit longer. I'll show off the reason why, and it's just to do with light. I'm going to try out a new type of light for that. But also in general, I just added some new figures that I'll show off in this video, different ways I'm going to be using different characters' powers, and just some more fun ideas to make this build even better. In addition to the Xavier head, as well as the new Power Blast on the Sentinel, I've been throwing together some new power sets and new figures for the Danger Room, especially in the Brotherhood section. Most obvious here is that brand new Tornado for Storm. It's a lot more packed and dense and probably a little sturdier, and it still has the electric cord, so I'll be able to light it up and have it flashing with lightning. Take a closer look at Havoc. I'm very happy with how I did the rings and using those parts for his powers. Threw together a new minifigure for Pyro, some new powers for Scarlet Witch, kind of showed her off in the last video. Same with Polaris, but also got her powers going. And I got new figures for Toad, as well as Mastermind. We can take a closer look at all of those. Starting off with Havoc. Like I said, very happy with how these turned out. Just using a bunch of the transparent dish pieces to give a very Kirby effect as powers. I just used one of the back bracket Outrider pieces from the Infinity War Endgame set. Very happy I got one on the back of the head. I'll take out these hand ones quick so you can see it a little bit better. But in almost every drawing of him using his powers, he has the rings going around his head. And it turned out great here, being able to apply that to the character. And it was kind of a fun, I always say it's a fun challenge for these types of things. I knew what I wanted. Ring in some way, but I was very happy with the amount of rings I was able to get since there are 3 different layers of parts. You can really only see it in some angles since the head does cover some of it, but very happy with how this turned out. Let's jump to another character, which, you know, isn't going to be as complicated, being Scarlet Witch. Really just some simple red transparent parts for her powers, but I'm going to have her flying, probably maybe battling Jean Grey. So just got some more of her powers coming out of the leg just to give her some flying. For Polaris, I had to be a little bit more creative since there aren't as many pieces in transparent green as there are in just plain transparent, but I used some of the beaker parts as well as some splat parts to kind of give her some, you know, magnetic powers, kind of like Magneto would have, where he has some of those just lines going around it to be some sort of force. I think I'm going to have her lifting up the smaller Sentinel, and that'll be kind of her battle scene. Maybe I'll put her with Havoc too, just to have them together. But I think this kind of looks cool too. Maybe not as well on camera, but when you're going to be looking at it in person at Brickworld, I think this is a fun little build for her powers. Taking a look at a new Fig Barf for character, I have Pyro here using the Chaka Brick She-Hulk Daredevil head there with the perfect red goggles for him. I used just the CMF boxer torso, just have yellow. And I didn't have any shoulder pad pieces, unfortunately, that were in red. They exist, just don't have them in my collection, but used a clear bracket there to add the little red part for his costume. And I just have these Brick Arms fire pieces for his powers. Pretty simple. And I guess also I tossed on these Jaka Brick across the Spider-Verse teleporters, whatever you would call those. I haven't reviewed those figures yet, but I just thought it would be a nice extra little bit of detail for him. I'm excited to have another villain character, and another Brotherhood member that isn't perfect but kind of gets the atmosphere of him is Toad here. The old Forestman torso here has the perfect neck piece for him. You know, the colors aren't exact, but it gets the idea across, and it uses the Mini Bigs Steve Buscemi head from the Hello Fellow Children's meme. Thought this would be decent, and of course the hairpiece perfect from the older Doc Ock minifigures and Ron Weasley. Legs are from K-Town that were made for the Hobbit minifigures before the dual molded ones, but it's nice these ones are flexible since they are mid-legs. So Toad's going to be in the battle now, and another callback to the original members, and maybe a little bit of a lesser known character, but I have Mastermind here using the Citizen Brick head there, and this torso is from a Lego Movie Western minifigure saw that and it was perfect for the character. I just thought it'd be fun to throw in some more of those 60s characters since I threw in Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch now. Might as well complete that whole original team. Simple minifigure, you know, no crazy parts here other than the Citizen Brickhead, but there's some decent options that LEGO has done themselves, but I just thought this would be a fun use out of the parts in my collection. And I have 2 more of these classic Brotherhood members that I don't think I'll actually use though. One of which being Blob here, and I don't know if I'll use him because it's going to be impossible to tell that that's who this is since he isn't actually bigger in any way. It's just a minifigure, but he uses Fat Thor torso as well as hip piece, and then I just switched out the legs for just some flesh ones to make this look a little bit better. But I think this looks great. It uses the mini Bigs Claude Van Damme head as well to give him kind of a puffier look there. And if you're just going plain minifigure, about this is pretty much the best you can do, I guess. If LEGO did a big fig or a mid fig of some sort, that would be cool. One more member though, and that is everyone's favorite X-Men minifigure, Unus the Untouchable. Another minifigure that I throw this in the display, no one's gonna know who he is. I barely know who it is, but I saw he's on the original roster, so I threw together a very generic minifigure here, which is honestly pretty accurate to his suit. He just wears red and has some black boots. You know, it's missing some of the like line detailing on the legs and maybe on the torso where there should be a black belt, but not a lot of torso options, especially not in my collection, that would fit him. But this is pretty much as close as you can get. Like I said, I'm probably not going to use this, but just wanted to show it off quick. Let's get to some lighting for the build. I already mentioned that Storm's lighting changed a little bit, but I am also going to be throwing on just some headlights to the build. Just has a brick stuff light through a dish piece, stud with a hole in it, and then I just use the bottom tile part there, and the light should shine through these and light up the danger room. So when it is World of Lights during Brickworld, you'll actually be able to see the build. Made a couple of these, and I'm just going to use some robot arms to kind of hang it from the ceiling of the walls. But easy solution. Let's see how it turns out. And I'll just need to apply all 4 of these lights around the danger room too. I have all 4 of those lights on. I'm going to turn them on, and it makes all the difference. At least when I have more lights off, it'll be a lot more atmospheric. And like I mentioned, for this power blast, I got this very rubbery light that I'm going to wrap around that, have it go through the wall with the wire, and then it's going to have like a pulsing effect. So let's get that installed. Other than lighting, actually figuring out where to place the different minifigures is the hardest part of this type of build, especially now that there is so much open space. It feels a little empty sometimes, but you don't want it to be too crowded either. Another thing that I tossed together was this Magneto with his ball of metal going around him as the force field of sorts. You know, he does this sort of thing in the comics all the time. And having Wolverine floating around him is a fun little detail that I wanted to throw in. And I had mentioned I didn't know what to do with the trapdoor there, but I just have some wires being torn out by Magneto, you know, extra sentinel head that was sucked through too, and that just connects to the ball of metal that he's pulling together. So a lot of the random real world objects that he pulled out came from the wall. So wanted to add some sort of context for how he ended up getting all these parts. And I was able to use some crazy arms for Cyclops down there to give his optic blast some angle to aim at that perfectly. And he's giving Emma Frost the hand over there. Kind of in the corner, I have Polaris attacking the tiny sentinel that was hanging out of that doorway in the first iteration of this MOC. So a little bit of an upgrade there. Toad's hanging up out in the corner there. And I upgraded the pyro that I already showed off. I found the Red Hood shoulder piece, so thought that would be better. Brick arms, flame effects like I already kind of used, and he is going to be fighting Iceman, who I already pointed out is fighting Quicksilver, who's slipping on some ice. So it's always fun to just have different dynamics. Everybody's got great powers, so it's really easy to get them into a pose and display them in a fun, interesting way. And this is kind of the final display for right now. Obviously, you have to go through, get the lights going for the different power effects like the storm, and then the laser going there. So got everything set up, know how I want it. I just need to take off the walls now and get the cables hidden and make it a little bit more presentable. But let me know, out of all the characters on here that are new or that are from the first version, what do you think is your favorite? What would you add for a future edition? or just as more characters in the display. I think the struggle that I have right now is I'm just out of members to fight each other, so I need some more X-Men and some more Brotherhood or just X-Men villains to fight to expand this in the future. If you want to see more LEGO X-Men videos or LEGO Marvel videos overall, check out the videos on my channel. I've been brickworld, and I'll see you in the next video.